What's up, guys? The Snowman here, back with another tennis top 10 video right now. An interesting topic for today. It's my top 10 Grand Slam title runs in men's tennis history. I've done videos in the past ranking the best players of all time, but this will be a little bit different. This is my top 10 major title runs in men's tennis. So different criteria is going to factor into this. If a player beat several top 10, top 5 players en route to a title, that'll play a key factor. If they beat multiple legends, that's definitely going to play a major role. But again, these are the top 10 major title runs in men's tennis. Starting off with the 10th most impressive run to a Grand Slam title, Richard Krajicek at the 1996 Wimbledon Championships. Honestly, this isn't so much about the run in its totality as it is Krajicek somehow mustering the impossible and defeating the 3-time defending Wimbledon champ Pete Sampras. Pete was a machine, winning 7 out of 8 Wimbledons in this time period. 96, the only year he fell. Krajicek also knocking off another former champ en route to this crown in Germany's Michael Stich. Number 9 on my list is Roger Federer's triumph at Wimbledon 2007. This title, a 5th consecutive Wimbledon title for the Swiss maestro, 1 of 8 total. The pressure was mounting. A young challenger in Rafael Nadal was pushing him, but Fed managed to hold off the Spaniard's coronation in the final. Just an awesome 5-set battle, Fed claiming the scalp of 4 total major champions at this event. Not just Rafa, but Del Potro, Marat Safin, and Juan Carlos Ferrero too. Only 1 set dropped outside of the final. Going back to the 1980s now for my 8th best major title run, Johnny Mac at the 1984 US Open. This tournament part of an 82-3 record during that 84 season for McEnroe, his 7th and final major singles title. He got the better of 2 of his biggest rivals in the semis and final, an epic 5-setter versus Jimmy Connors in the semifinal, their last ever meeting at a major. And how sweet must it have been to knock off Ivan Lendl for the title. McEnroe delivering in front of his home fans, also beat a teenage Stefan Edberg in the second round. 7th most impressive Grand Slam, Bjorn Borg at the 1978 French Open. Not so much for the level of competition or iconic moments, but just the sheer dominance on display. No sets lost, an absolutely insane just 32 games dropped in 7 matches. That's the least amount of games lost during a championship run in men's tennis history. Not even Nadal at Roland Garros has been as dominant as Borg in 78. Slight challenge in the 4th round, but otherwise these matches were essentially over as soon as he stepped onto the court. Speaking of Nadal, I was considering his 08 Roland Garros campaign where he didn't drop a set, but just for the final alone, I have to include Wimbledon 2008 on my list. To most people, that final contested by Rafa and Roger, the single greatest tennis match ever played. Still to this day, I have no idea how Nadal kept his composure after squandering match points and then dethroning the 5-time defending champion. It's the second longest Wimbledon final ever at almost 5 hours. Nadal beating Andy Murray in the quarters too. He earned every bit of that trophy. Top 5 time. Now we're getting into some hollow territory. I've got Goran Ivanovich winning Wimbledon in 2001. 3 times a runner-up prior. This was towards the end of Ivanisevich's career. His ranking had dropped, needed a wild card just to get into the tournament, and from there he went on a magical ride, took on a murderer's row of opponents. Carlos Moya and Andy Roddick in early rounds, Safin in the quarters, Tim Henman in a come-from-behind 5-set semi-victory, and a truly iconic final triumph over Pat Rafter. Ivanisevic pulling a major rabbit out of the hat. Number 4, of course, my list had to include Stan Wawrinka at some point here with the 2014 Australian Open. Just beast mode, Stan going nuclear in the final week of this event, becoming the 2nd man in 10 years outside of the Big Four to win a major title. No match was too big for Stan. So impressive those last 3 matches, upsetting 3-time defending champ Novak Djokovic in the quarters. That was a knockdown, drag-out fist fight of a 5-setter, an offensive fireworks display versus Berdych in the semifinals, and another mentally tough, nerves of steel upset against Nadal in the final. This run turned Wawrinka from Stan into the Stanimal. My 3rd most impressive major title, Juan Martín del Potro at the 2009 US Open. You might notice there's a theme here. If you beat multiple members of the Big Three, you're probably going to show up on my list. Just mind-boggling what a 20-year-old Delpo did. Look at the back half, took out Marin Cilic, a future US Open winner, in the quarters, embarrassed Nadal in one of the most lopsided defeats of his career, 6-2, 6-2, 6-2. And then the unthinkable, Federer going for an outrageous 6th straight US Open title, but Delpo was unplayable that day. Giant forehand, giant heart, and an awe-inspiring David versus Goliath moment to clinch a spot in the history books. Number 2 is Novak Djokovic's run at the 2012 Australian Open. His last 2 rounds, the stuff of legend, some of the highest quality tennis you'll ever see. The Big Four was the top 4 seeds and all made the semis. Djokovic met Murray in his semi in what was a seismic battle of attrition, long grueling rallies, 4 hours and 50 minutes. He then followed that up by defeating Nadal in the final, the longest major final of all time, at 5 hours and 53 minutes. Both men needing chairs during the trophy ceremony. The endurance and ability to dig deeper than anyone on the planet got Novak over the finish line. This title, his 3rd of 10 Australian Opens, so thoroughly deserved. Finally, we end with the most impressive major title run. My number 1 is Michael Chang winning the 1989 French Open title, the youngest major champ of all time. Still today, just 17 years and 3 months old. Chang had the upset of all upsets versus world number 1 Ivan Lendl in the 4th round, coming back from 2 sets down, battling cramps, throwing in a famous underarm serve, and somehow, some way, he knocked off Lendl, who was already a 3-time Roland Garros winner. Chang capped off his Cinderella story by defeating an in-prime Edberg in the championship match. The improbability mixed with age, mixed with level of competition. Chang winning the French in '89 is my greatest men's major title run of all time. Thanks a lot for watching my top 10 Grand Slam title runs in men's tennis history video. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about my list. If there's any great major runs that I left out or omitted, please let me know about it. And give me a subscription to the Snowman Sports Media if you want more tennis content and weekly videos. Cheers!